Okay, I will call the December 15th Select Board meeting to order. As a preliminary matter, let me confirm that members are present and can hear me. As I see you, Melissa Murphy.
Present.
Jason Bridges.
Here.
Christy Ferrantella.
Here.
Matt Fee.
Here.
And then we have Erica Mooney.
Present.
Brian Turbot.
In attendance.
And Rob Ranney.
Here.
We are meeting remotely consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12, 2020, due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to the outbreak of the COVID-19 virus. In order to mitigate transmission, we have suspended public gatherings and are not currently required to meet in a physical location. We are all participating remotely. There is a public comment section if needed, maybe, is there?
Sorry, there is not.
There is not. We will not be featuring public comment today. All meeting materials are on our website. We are opening an open session. We have one public hearing. How are we doing a public hearing without public access?
Because the Zoom link was on the agenda.
Oh yeah, so people can log in as
People can log in and participate.
Okay, that's what I was wondering. So people are able to log in as attendees.
Yes.
If they have a public comment on this agenda item. Okay, I'm just going to leave it at that. So let's open the public hearing. Rob.
Thank you for having us. I'm Rob Ranney, your assessor. I think Erica has a screen she could share with you. Just a brief overlook of the tax rates that we're calculating for this year. As you can see, they're slightly different than last year's. Our position in the previous meetings that have been continued to this point on this topic was that we're going to see next year in fiscal 22, we're going to see the impact of all of the crazy sales that we've been seeing in the last couple of months. So we don't want you to use any potential sort of tools in your toolbox as far as adjusting the percentage on the residential exemption or the shift to the commercial properties, because you may need to use some of those to balance out this probably pretty dramatic effect of the sales that we're seeing now, which are going to be impacting next year's values. So I don't know if there are questions on this process, on how the shift works, how the real estate in the residential exemption works. It's been pretty straightforward for the last couple of years as far as not adjusting it too much. And my feedback from taxpayers in general has been that they sort of like the fact that, I mean, nobody likes paying taxes, but they like the fact that things don't change too much as far as, the burden on the residential side versus the commercial side.
Does anybody have any questions? This is public hearing if there are any comments from the public, but I don't think anyone is actually logged in. Matt?
Don, it's Matt.
Yeah, Matt, I said go ahead.
Yep, I don't have I don't have a question. I just have a comment. I think that, I think we should be thinking about adjusting the commercial slightly. I think a lot of us are on island, are impacted by it. There's employee housing. There's a lot of expenses that we're all paying, commercial rates. I think a lot of these businesses are run as, are commercial businesses paying, the residential rates, but that's a whole different issue. I bring this up every year. It's not the rate that matters. It's the total amount people have to pay. And I think people are going to have some people who are running businesses are going to have a very difficult time paying it this year. But I agree with Rob that, it will be fine to carry it like this way this year, but next year we should really look into it a little bit. I think it's a way to, to give people a bit of a break. It won't be passing it on to the residential, I don't believe, because we're going to be adding so much high price residential that I think, the residents themselves, especially those with residential exemptions, will be at the same level, slightly up or slightly down, but we'll have to run those numbers, and I'm willing to run them next year.
Yeah, and just to follow up on that, we are certainly open to that next year. As far as our initial timing goes, we had some COVID related issues this year that squeezed our timing. Normally this process takes 6 to 8 weeks. We did it this year in 2. So with a new assessor and some other challenges. So next year we're going to plan to have more time to address some of these issues, present a better array of options, and we'll know at that point what the impact will be on, say, the residential versus commercial.
Christie?
Thank you. Just looking at the file that you had up with the year-round exemption, is there a reason, I know it's very slight, but why it went up? Is that because the value of the houses have gone up, or did something change?
Actually, the average value has come down slightly. So the residential exemption is 25% of the average residential value, which is everybody. So the value came down slightly, the tax rate went up slightly, and then the residential exemption itself, because the average value came down, has come down a little bit. But the overall impact, as you can see, the year-round tax bill with the exemption is just under $100 more this year than last year. So there is some impact, but it's not a huge one.
Okay, thank you.
I agree with Matt that I would like to look at that in the fall, but I'm good with moving forward as is now. Brian?
Just one observation, because I think that this conversation has been something that we have, since I've been here, talked about looking at more in depth. And if we want to do it, I don't want to add to everybody's work over the summer, but what we should do is take what we have static in here from this year and start working on it sooner than the fall, because we run up against deadlines, and then we really then don't have a lot of chance to make those decisions. So I think that if we want to have this discussion, which I certainly think is something that we should discuss collectively and come up with some type of policy and how we see this moving in the future, as we add more debt that we will be adding for other projects. But I would suggest that we start it at the end of July or into August, so that by the time we get to the tax rate hearing, we've had more than enough time to really look at these options and work through them, because I think next year is going to be a lot different, and very different because of the significantly larger amount of home sales transactions that have occurred, which is going to change the valuation on, Rob, correct me if I'm wrong, but multiple properties across the island, and will have a much greater impact. And we may want to take a little bit more time to thoroughly go through that.
Thank you. Did Bruce Mandel log on with a comment on this?
Bruce just logged on. I don't know if he has a comment.
Bruce, are you here for the public hearing before I close it?
Yes, I am here for the public meeting, but just as a matter of curiosity, no comments are intended. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, then I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing. And what's the pleasure of the board in regard to setting the tax rate?
Move approval with the proposed tax rate.
Second.
Is there a second? All those in favor by roll call: Christy Parentella,
Aye.
Melissa Murphy,
Aye.
Jason Bridges,
Aye.
Matt Fee,
Aye.
Don Holgate, aye. That carries unanimously.
And sorry, so that's with the 170% shift and 25% residential.
Yeah, we're not making any changes.
No changes. Thank
Yeah.
you.
But we are making a commitment to revisit this.
Right, and
Yeah.
I think it's a good idea to revisit it earlier, so that we have the information in the fall. I think that's great. I served on a board where one member wanted to give it all to the homeowners immediately, maybe one or two people. Luckily, we didn't do that because we needed to keep some of that sort of in our toolbox, which is what Rob's talking about. And so if we had given it all now, people would be used to that and they'd be wondering, what can you do for me now? And so, we've handled it pretty responsibly and conservatively. And I think, I'd still want to do that come fall, but there are some, equity. There's things that we could make a little more fair.
Yeah, I mean, I actually, Matt, if you believe it, I was there with you when we talked about that. Being in year 6 now.
You can't have been around that long, Don.
When it first passed to go up as high as it does now. But I agree. We said that we would save it for years that we needed really large overrides and those kind of things to talk about it. Rob?
Yeah, just a quick point. It's a lot harder to pull back from that than it is to go up. So I think, you don't really need my opinion on this, but I think that's a safe bet. Matt's right.
Yeah, totally agree.
Can
Dawn,
we
can we
get
put
that in
this
the
on?
minutes? He said I'm right.
Yeah, Jason? Jason?
Yeah, can we maybe put this on can you hear me?
Yeah. Sorry, my
you hear
internet's
me?
not good. Yeah, I can hear you.
Maybe we could put on for late June, early July, put it on the agenda after town meeting. Once we get through that, to put this on the agenda for next year, just to get it on there now.
I can add it to the silver sheet.
So,
So we have a
thank you.
placeholder on it.
Thanks, Erica.
Thanks. Okay, we're going to take a recess until 4 o'clock.
Thank you, everyone.
Do we need a motion for that?
Thank you all.
I don't believe you need a vote. We're just gonna recess until 4 and the Concom is gonna come back and open their meeting in open session and then we'll adjourn to executive at that time.
Okay. But we're already in session, so we don't need to go through the script again.
Right. Can we
Correct.
just join the executive session then?
You could.
Well, no, we
Do
still
we have to make a motion?
to
Yeah,
go-
you guys still need to make a motion to
move
adjourn.
in? Gotcha.
So we'll come back here just maybe a couple minutes before 4.
Okay.
Just mute and
And then
camera.
maybe public comment in the open portion of it that we'll want to hear.
Okay.
Thanks, Matt. We've already called our meeting to order because we had another order of business earlier and then we just recessed. So I've already done the script and so forth. If Ashley, you just want to go to calling to order and then we'll make a motion to go into executive session afterwards.
Perfect. So I'll get going. So I would like to call tonight's Conservation Commission meeting to order. To do that, I would like to confirm that all members are present. So members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Mark Beal.
Here.
Seth Engelborg.
Here.
Eris is here. Ian Golding.
Yes.
We missing Dave LaFleur? Looks like, I don't know if Dave is.
Not on. Not yet.
We are efforting to track him down.
Okay, perfect. So Maureen Phillips
Here.
and Joe Topham.
Here.
Okay, so it looks like conservation commissioners are here, aside from Dave, who's hopefully coming. So Dawn, do we need to make a motion as a Concom or is it kind of a group together to go in?
Well,
I think each board should adjourn to executive session for the purposes outlined on your agendas.
yeah, you guys go ahead and then we'll go after.
Okay, perfect. So is there a motion from one of the conservation commissioners to adjourn and go into executive session for the purposes stated in the agenda, not to come back into open session?
Also move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Joe. So by roll vote, Beal,
Aye.
Engelborg,
Aye.
Arisman, I, Golding,
Aye.
Phillips,
Aye.
Topham.
Aye.
That carries unanimously.
Select Board, can I have a motion to adjourn to executive session, not to return to open session for the reasons stated in the agenda?
So
So
moved.
moved. Second.
All those in favor by roll call, Christy Ferrantella,
Aye.
Melissa Murphy,
Aye.
Jason Bridges,
Aye.
John Holgate, aye. Hopefully Matt is in executive.
Okay, and we're gonna see what the next link.
Right.